Welcome to Captain of Industries. This map is brand new and it's big. It is a big map and they call it Shattered Islands for a reason. You're on an island, but there's more ores, more things like that that you have to get to at some point. So either building a land bridge or eventually when you get to the point you can actually put up bridges, which is pretty cool. But there is a lot going on in this map. I mean, this map is big. Supposedly it might be one of the biggest maps that this game has produced. So I'm kind of excited. I know it looks a little challenging, but I think we can get there along with your guys' help and knowledge on things. Look at that little oil on this island. That would be a little interesting there, but that is kind of funny. So yeah, there is a lot going on. You can put trains on this thing, a lot of automation. So this game has really intrigued my interest the last few hours that I've played. But so the goal for this episode is kind of just get the bases going, right? We have very minimal supplies from the ship down here in the dock area. You kind of start with the stuff, but it's not enough to get you going. You also start with an abandoned community station that has some iron scrap and some concrete slabs, but that's just not it. You have to be self-sustaining. So my thought for this little playthrough right here is our starting island that we're at. We kind of take a look around. We have a underground water source here, so that's going to come in handy. This is where we could potentially put our farm and maybe our starting off stuff. So because I want to keep our traffic from here to where we got to build to a minimum. Now we kind of look over to this direction. We got some oil production here. We do have some sand, and you can toggle these on and off. If you're unsure of what they are here on the left-hand side, you can actually click it, and it makes it disappear. So this is sand. Limestone is way back here on this corner, so that's going to be a long haul from point A to point B with some of that stuff. But with a lot of the ores that are going to be needed kind of off the bat are in this general location. We'll maybe figure something out to go here. But initially, I think in this open area, we could probably put all the starting stuff and get stuff going. So enough of me talking. Let's get doing. Let's hop right into it. All right. So we need to build a coal maker. The other thing that we need to do, I know that we need to do, is we need to click on this and actually give it 2 trucks because that's going to be a task on the left-hand side. Now, if you are starting this game or have never played this game, I highly recommend playing it on a 1-time speed. We're going to try it on 2 times and see what happens. We can always drop it down. There may be a time we jump it up to 3 times, but who knows? We'll figure it out. All right, so we need to build a coal maker and connect it to a smokestack. All right, so let's go to the tree area down here. Let's grab that coal maker and let's zoom in so you guys can actually see what the heck is going on. All right, first off, let's make sure that we're not getting too crazy. Let's kind of put this right here, I guess, for right now. We can always change things later. We're going to put this tuck this right. We're going to kind of follow a 2x2 square rule. So something like that. So basically you're going to want to place it on the 3rd square. So we'll get that one going. And the, always pick the wrong one. Every time I pick the wrong one. All right, we'll get the smokestack going. We've already assigned the 2 trucks to the tree harvester. Start tree harvesting, build a blast furnace and connect the metal caster to there. So we need to connect 2 of those. So we need to hop over into our blast furnace. Now I think, I'm thinking we want to put this like in this general area, maybe even right about in here. So let's get this blast furnace going. Let's kind of give ourselves some room though. So let's go 2x2, 2 squares, 2 squares, blast furnace. Okay. Now we need the metal caster, which we're going to go... eventually, you're going to get some conveyor systems going in here as well, but you're going to want to give yourself some room for everything. So let's go with one there, and then let's put this one right next to that one, and the smokestack. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to route this right now. You do get the molten... it's under this right here. You do get the molten channel right off the bat, so that's good. So then you can kind of automate this portion of it. So let's get the rest of this connected up. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Not that spot. So we got to reconnect that to there, and then this to there. There we go. All right, so that looks all right to me. So I do know that we need to do that as well. So let's get that going. Now we need to set up the tree to start cutting. So I think with that water being in this general area, I wonder if we don't just start working on cutting these trees out. It's going to be a small haul to the places that we need to go. So let's unpause this. Let's get this thing kicked off and let's give these something to cut. So let's initially get this stuff right there cut. It could be a quick path to there. Now, those guys are going to be bringing all that material from the dock that gets stored over this way. They're going to pick up some material, and then they're going to bring it up there. Look at those things go. And they're going to get this stuff all built. Built pretty dang quick. Now, they're going to head back and go grab the scrap iron, either off the ship or from here. The other thing is in the shipyard, you're going to want to make sure that this says keep empty at some point. Because when eventually the ship will go off into the other areas and go do some exploring once we get to that point. But when they come back, this needs to be empty so that way they can offload the cargo. So the harvester is getting worked on. He's going to be kind of held up because there isn't going to be a spot quite yet for the blast furnace to start making the coal. So we're going to let those guys kind of continue on. Looks like the blast furnace is ready to go. We just need to start producing some coal. The other thing it looks like they're wanting us to do is build a farm on fertile grassland. Well, I think we're just going to kind of wait with that because we have 60 months left. So we got to keep an eye on that as well. You only start with so many people in your colony. We got 90, the population of 90, and we can have 160 at this point in time. You do produce unity and stuff like that, which we'll get into a little bit later on. All right, so that's going. Let's see. They want us to build a farm, but I don't know. Can we fit the farm? Let's see. Food plot. We could fit it right back in here. Just not really quite sure. Do we want to set this down? I think we could, but I want to kind of keep it away from that. So that way we don't have to necessarily pick this up later down the road. Could possibly do something like this. There, we'll get that thing going. We'll get the farm built at least. It's not too bad of a spot. We can always kind of move things if we have to, but trying to get to the point where if we don't have to, I don't want to. All right, we're going to eventually need some power. So I think for right now, we could set this general area for right now. So what I just put there is the diesel generator. So that's going to get going. So the problem with the starting off the bat is a lot of your supplies come from this area. So your trucks have to do a lot of hauling from point A to point B. You have to be careful how busy your trucks are, how much your population and how many workers you have. So there's kind of a lot you got to look on up there, but it's not terribly hard. You just got to be cautious of it. All right, so we got that. So now we need to build a research center. So let's build that. Let's kind of place this thing. Let's give it out of that area. Research center can go where? Let's maybe stick it right in this general area for right now. Kind of out of the beaten path. That way we can get some research stuff done. With the research lab built and our power is running, we need to go into here and we need to start to do some new research. So the very first one that they want us to do that we need to do is actually this construction right here, which gives us, it unlocks the assembly so you can start building your construction parts, your mechanical parts, and your electronics. So we need to research that. The big one is maintenance. We're going to need maintenance. We're going to need the trading dock, which trading dock allows you to trade with other areas within the map. We'll show you that when that time comes up. And it gives you some storage units. So that's going to be good there. The other thing I do know that's going to be coming down the pipeline is we need to do vehicle and mining, which is going to unlock the blast furnace recipes and the assembly recipes. You also get the mine control and a bunch of other stuff here as well. So when we get to that, we will jump into there and we'll discuss what's going on there. We'll eventually need basic diesel. So let's get that figured out. The beacon, we'll get that one figured out. Now, the beacon is a very interesting one. The beacon is a strong light that helps other refugees to find your island and join you. This can help you get more workers and some extra starting loot. So that's a good one to get done. And it does tell you in the basic checkbox that we're doing. Diesel's going, and then tools. We'll research that, which gives you just a little bit more kind of planning things that you can do. We'll kind of discuss that as we go. And the captain's office, which gives you some ethics, is what it's called, I believe, if I'm saying that right. But it gives you kind of different buffs. So we'll add that to the queue. Construction is on its way in the food production, so we're going to collect that. Gives us 40 potatoes and some construction equipment to start building things. So right now we just basically are waiting for some of the construction to get researched, and then we should get a new pop-up. The other one we need to do is build. There it is. So let's get the assembly thing going. And I think let's kind of put this over here. We'll drop this down so that way we're not too terribly far off on what's going on with that. You also have to try to remember eventually when you're setting the stuff, and you can always move the stuff, but it does take you a little bit. But pathing for automation, so belts and stuff like that. So we need the input there. We'll put that one there, and then let's do this one here. So we're going to need construction parts. So we need to select this recipe, and now it's going to be able to produce what we need for it through the blast furnace, and the metal casters makes your iron. Okay, that I kind of wanted that to go straight, but that we can fix that at a different time. It will be fine for now. All right, so construction parts are in the thing. They are grabbing all the stuff that they need. We'll move this out of the way so you can see. And they're just basically putting it in there so it can start working. Concrete slab is the one that's going to be way down there. So that's going to take a little bit to bring up to this point, but that's working. Build a waste collector. All right, so where's our waste collector? Right here. You need to attach this to your housing area. We're going to attach that to this end because we might need two eventually later on. All right, construction parts, let's collect that as well. Now we need to build a waste collection site. So as I was talking earlier, and I'm not quite sure if this is something that was going to work for us, with this overlay in the oil production right here, I'm almost kind of half tempted because this really makes you have a long trip all the way around. So I'm kind of thinking that we build a ramp. So our dump station, we're going to pause this real quick so we can build this. So that's the cool thing about this is you can pause the game and kind of get some planning done. All right, so let's press F to get our ramp up. So now we're going to just do a quick test one. You can always drop this down later, but let's see how well that ramp goes up. You can bring it to here, and we might need to go up one more, or can we go flat with that? So let's try going flat off of here. Can we go flat? Okay, so it does look like we can go. Let's press F again to grab this point. Also, let's get rid of this one. Whoops. Get rid of that one, and there we go. Something like that. All right, so now we can come down to here, and we'll go 2 wide, so that way the ramp is 3 wide. To that point, and then we should be able to grab this one again and go like that. Perfect. That's actually going to work really good. All right, so now what this is going to do is this is going to allow them to dump waste, which is produced from the colony, out of this one. So trucks will be able to deliver that all down there. Also, once we get the ore production sorting stuff done, all of your like dirt, anything else that you have selected, when we get to that point, they'll get dumped into this position here. All right, so let's get that thing going again. Turn off our overlays. We're waiting for the dump to get done. Build the trading dock. So we need to go build the trading dock. That is right there. So I think we kind of stick it over in this area. Okay, there we go. So we got that. Now waste dumping is done. So let's collect those rewards. Now trading dock would be built. That'll be good. Now we need to make sure that we're build maintenance depot. All right, so we gotta go build the maintenance depot. Something there. Get that one done. And then what else is it wanting to do? Build in another assembly to produce mechanical parts. All right, so we need an assembly. So let's open that one. I like this view until it gets bigger. But assembly, so we're gonna stick that one next to this one, but we're going to give that a 2x2 space. So you're going to place it on the third one. That way you have the ability to run at least some conveyors through there, right? So that should work. And then this one needs to make sure that we need to select the recipe for mechanical parts. So that will be built. Trading dock is hopefully being built. Slowly but surely it's being built. Research stuff is done. Trading dock maintenance is done. Construction is done. And then pretty soon we'll have this one that's done. There we go. Got it. So now we got electrical parts. We got 40 and 50 construction parts from doing that. All right, nice. Now we got the vehicle and mining stuff done. So purchase concrete slabs for iron from the village on the world map. So this is what we were talking about, what the trading dock does. So let's click on that, and you're going to trade with a village. So eventually this boat that is still broken, we'll go out and be able to look at, explore, basically. But for right now, this purpose, we're going to click on this settlement area right there, and we need to trade iron for concrete blocks, and what we're going to be using is Unity. So we're going to get that, click on that to get that task done. Nice. Now we got some more stuff that came in. Research facilities done there. Now we're working on basic diesel, which is going to be good because right now we got 428 units of fuel. And with all these vehicles running, that's going to take some time with the vehicles running and the generator up here that's giving power to our research facility. We're going to need to get some fuel going very quick. All right, so now we need to build the vehicle depot, and then we unlocked unit storage and loose materials. So that's going to be good. Vehicle depot. There we go. All right. So this one can go. We're going to do 2x2, kind of the rule. There's that. Okay. So that'll be built. And then from there, we're going to build one of these excavators and 2 trucks. And then while we're at that, we need to enable iron recipe that uses on the blast furnace. So let's right here, select recipe. So we got that selected, but we still, even though that we selected it, we still need to set up our iron facility. So let's get that one done, which is under the terraforming one. So we initially need to put up a mine control tower, and we'll just kind of set it right about there. And then we also need to set up a facility for our iron. Let's actually put this like right here. I think this might be a good spot to put it, just for the sheer fact that it's relatively close to this and relatively close to that. We can actually, you know what? Let's slide this back a little bit, right? Let's put it here, right there. All right, we're going to pause real quick so that way we can get this mine control edit area done. Since I'm fairly new to this game, correct me if I'm wrong, but it doesn't have to be behind. This thing just is indicating that this is the area. But the thing that I really like about this is you can click anywhere on the white line and bring the area where you want it. So you can make it a little bit bigger if you need to. But for right now, that looks like a fairly good spot. Don't forget to confirm it. What I want to do now is add some storage to the trommel. And in order to do that, we'll walk through this when this gets going, but we're going to kind of offset this stuff to the back. So always try to remember how in your head, how are you going to lay your conveyor systems? Kind of try to have an idea or a plan of how that's going to work with something like that. And then we'll actually do another one identical to the other side, right about there. So now what we'll do is we're going to let this thing go. But what we got to do now is we need to select our product. And the product we're looking for is iron. And then we're going to go ahead and put dirt in there as well. Now with these loose storage, we also want to make sure that we are selecting what product goes into them. So that way they don't get confused and they have somewhere to actually dump stuff. This one seems like it's pushed back a little bit further. And it's already built. Awesome. I was going to slide that back just a little bit more, which I can't quite do right now. That is going. We'll let that thing happen and work. We'll get those when the parts get done. They'll come out of here. What else we got? Construct a small excavator. We're working on that project. We're still working on that one as well. And research beacon. The beacon is actually in progress right now. So that's going to be a plus as well. All right. So one of the big things that I want to do is put a storage unit onto my furnace So that way we can hold more wood into this is basically what's going to happen. We'll put that right about there. And then eventually we can add some more if we need to. So what's going to happen is eventually we'll connect this end straight into there. And we need to select to make sure that that is wood. All right. What is some other things that we need to do? I know we're going to need a unit storage for these two parts, which it might not tell you, but I think it's good to make sure that you have that stuff ready and to rock and roll. I'm kind of wondering, should we offset this just a bit? I think we could offset that a little bit. That'll give us a little bit more space in between if we need. So make sure we rotate that and get the correct sides in. So do one there. And make sure that you got at least a 2x2 space in between. And then this is going to be construction parts. And then this one's going to be mechanical parts. That way we have storage and stuff, so that way those things can keep working and you pull storage from there. Eventually we'll connect everything. All right, construct pickups. All right, so okay, now our excavator is here. Be good. So let's click on that and we need to tell it what we want it to mine, which is the iron ore. So we get done with that. Now we need to go over to the mine site. Click on that and give it excavator. Basically tell it you want one excavator onto that tower. And then we'll throw 2 trucks on there. So that should be able to get that moving. Make sure that we got our products that we want them to do there. Mine control tower has no... Okay. So now it'll throw you some warnings of things that need to go on. So what we need to do now is we're going to pause and we're going to go back into the terraforming. And we need to go to the mining designation area. Make sure that you're on the right one down below. Turn on your top part so that way you can see where you need to put this stuff. So initially, we're just going to go straight in. We're going to go about, let's go about 5 wide and straight in. There we go. Now, we'll unpause that and those guys should start working. Okay, we're going to open this back up and mine some ore, iron ore. So that's what they're doing there. And they'll just bring it here and dump it. Right now, they're going to have a lot of dirt off the bat. So they're probably going to dump it into there. Okay, so we need storage. Iron storage is what they're telling us that we need to do. We need to build a unit and assign it to iron. So what we're going to do is go into storage. That's going to be this one here. Now let's kind of plan this out. So you can kind of see where the trucks are really beating the path because there's been a lot of traffic in here. So in order to help with this, knowing that, okay, let's look at this again. So knowing that this takes iron and this one takes iron, let's put this iron storage on this side. So let's do that. You got to give yourself some of that room. We could go, you got to give yourselves that room about right there, I think is what maybe is going to work, because all we're going to need to do now is run. So let's build that there. We'll get our systems over into that. And then eventually we can come off into here, attach one to there and attach one to there. Cause this takes iron and wood. Now we're going to put the iron, I believe, on this side, because then we can put wood there, and then when the time comes, we can put wood into there and concrete into there. This one specifically only needs iron, so that's why I'm thinking we're build it this general direction. So we're going to let that go. I need to set this to iron, and we'll let this thing play out. We'll see what happens. All right, so the other thing is we haven't quite got to any ores. Looks like we might be getting to some right now. All right, we just kind of, sometimes you just got to sit back and just kind of watch how everything is going to work, how everything is working, how the flow is. All right, so there should be taken from here to there and getting this full. I could tell them to keep this half full right now, but we're just going to leave it as is and let them kind of do their thing, because that just kind of locks up a truck for right now. That's good that the wood production is getting full. So that means the tree harvester is doing its job. Now we need to build another assembly to produce construction parts. Okay. So knowing how this game plays kind of off the bat a little bit, I'm thinking what we're going to do is we need to build this other construction assembly, but I want to build this in a smart manner. I know that right off the bat, if you look at the recipes, we don't have construction or assembly 2 done, which opens up construction parts 2, basically is what it is, like another tier. But knowing how this works, I'm thinking what we'll have to do is initially your iron's going to come into here. It's going to feed into this one and this one. Off the bat, I'm almost thinking we put this next assembly, something in the lines of like right about next to this, but we don't want it to be too close. So you want to give that 2x2 square. We can come down and over like that. So now we got a 2x2 on everything, right? So I'm thinking somewhere like right there. I think we build it right there. Now, they want this to be another iron production, which is fine. Or no, not iron. Yeah, another construction, sorry. So we're going to let that build construction. What I'm talking about is eventually one of these gets upgraded, and probably this one. So that's going to feed into this because you need these construction parts to make your second tier construction parts there. So that's kind of the thought process on that one. Kind of coming together a little bit, guys. All right, let's keep this thing going. We're working on producing that. We need to build a housing unit. So once we get the new refugees coming in, then we can basically start looking at our next projects that we need to do. So it looks like there he comes. The excavator had to go put fuel on. All right, so now we got the new refugees in here. Let's go over and let's actually pause. Okay, you can pause it so it stops sending out the beacon. All right, so now we got new refugees, so let's accept them, and they bring in more gifts. Awesome. Exactly what we need. And then stockpile products, we're going to collect the rewards, wood, and electrical parts, right? I think that's what that was. Electrical parts. All right, so now we're still waiting on the iron, which we got about 4 more to go. Build the housing. So we're going to build the housing just so we can continue this goal system. I think what we'll do is we'll maybe try to reach out in this general direction. And then eventually we can start upgrading the housing units. So let's put that there. All right, so we have to keep in mind too, we got some fuel stuff that's going on as well. And that's going to require us to put down the fuel pump in this area. Captain's office. I think, let's sit in here and think about this, because this game, you don't want to build too quick right off the bat. You don't want to strap all of your resources just building away. That's never good. That's kind of how you get into that death spiral that we kind of talked about a little bit in the beginning of the episode. So I think the big main goal right now is we need to get to the point where we can be efficient enough that we can stockpile some of these construction parts. So it's just going to take a little bit of time. All right, population growth, that's good. We're going to get that going. So these guys are pumping out stuff. That's going to be getting full, which is fine. As you can see, trucks are very busy moving material. That's why you want to try to make sure that things are put in place relatively close. I feel like that in the beginning. So they're not driving, all the way across the map. Now, the big challenge, the thing that they're kind of being busy about is they're hauling this dirt from here. So what we can do is we can make sure to keep this in production. We can actually tell trucks, hey, I want to keep this storage unit empty to here. So if it goes past this, trucks have to come there and take stuff out. So we are producing some of this iron, but they're basically taking it from in here. They're not even storing anything in here yet. They're just taking it from this point out and taking what's needed and removing it. So looks like we got another thing processing our iron ore, which is fuel and mechanical parts, or excuse me, vehicle parts, not mechanical parts. So everything's moving. Our trucks are extremely busy. So we need to let them just kind of finish what they're doing. And I think part of that is due because there's a lot going on all the way over to here. So that's what's taking them quite some time. The other thing we could do is we have 41 workers. I'm still trying to figure out exactly how to figure out everything with the workers to vehicles, but every building takes people, right? So there's 6 people there for the building of your equipment. There is 6 people in the maintenance department, 6 people in the research and development area. What else do you got? You got people in here as well that are running the food market and the sanitation, the waste collection area. So that all adds in, right? And that's where the population is 120. We have enough. We only have 41 workers. So you start adding all that stuff together. These trucks are extremely busy. So at some point we can start adding trucks to the fleet, but I think at this point we're going to let this stuff play out and go from there. So fuel is sitting pretty dang good, actually, which is really good. All right, research is done. We're not going to build that captain's facility quite yet, I don't think. But this is another thing. We got to make sure that we're continuing on with the research. So you can pick and choose how you want to go, but I'm thinking, because I know we need to get to this point, because otherwise we cannot continue on. We need to do basic concrete. We'll start researching that, and copper refinement, synthetic rubber. We'll make sure we keep that going too. And you can see what they produce. It produces synthetic rubber. So we're going to add that to the queue. Ramps for vehicles can come in handy if you got a lot of pipes going in, but we don't right now. So we can always go back to that. I think we'll take this terrain leveling. So basically you can make sure that the levels, the ground is flat so you can continue to build on. And we'll get construction part 2 done. And then this is where we're going to get some conveyor belt systems so we can automate some of that stuff. So it's going to free up some of the equipment. So let's actually put that into queue as well. We will continue on. So I think in the next episode, we're going to have new conveyor systems going in. We're going to have some more trucks. And the big major one is, I know we're good on there, but we are going to be getting our fuel set up here. So that way we can produce our own fuel. So if you guys did enjoy this content, don't forget to subscribe, like this video. And if you guys haven't yet, guys, go watch this video that's going to pop up in your screen right now. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Have a good one.